Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Maine SBDC webinar. My name is Kelsey Reardon, and I am with the Maine State Office, Maine SBDC State Office, hosted with USM right in Portland. And we are very lucky to yet again be joined by Terri Swanson as we continue to explore HR topics that are near and dear to all of our small business hearts. So today we're talking about retention and keeping your employees. The best employee you have is one you probably already have. And so this is going to be very interactive. If you have any questions at all, we'll use the chat feature, and also feel free to unmute yourself and we can have some discussions about current situations you may be facing. Like I said, we'll be using that chat feature, so also feel free to introduce yourself. After today's presentation, I'll be sending out a follow-up email that will include a link to the recording of today's session. So if you think like, oh, I just missed, I wish you would repeat that, you can rewind the recording, which is really fantastic. So we were talking, our YouTube channel is doing very well, and we try to get as many of our recorded programs up there as possible. So definitely check that out. If you're not familiar with the Maine SBDC, we are the Small Business Development Centers, and we are a federally funded and grant funded program. So it's at no cost to you. And every state has a group of centers, and then the centers are throughout the state, and each center has advisors who can help with just about anything your small business could need. And if we don't know the answer, we can find someone who does know the answer. So we are happy to connect you with additional resources. I will make sure that all of that contact information is in my follow-up email, as well as just a link to click to sign up for advising. So if you're not already set up with a business advisor, it's very easy. There's a form on our website. There's a big orange button. You can't miss it. And once you fill that out, you'll be in the system, and it'll connect you with either the closest advisor to you, but because we are doing everything remotely and virtually still, we may be able to connect you with an industry-specific advisor or somebody who has a lot of experience in your very specific challenges. So feel free to reach out through our website, or you can respond to any email you have ever gotten from me, and it will end up in the same place. So without further ado, I think we are set to get started. So I will pass it over to Terri.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. Hi, everyone. Hi, Lisa and Krista and Christine. We're really delighted to have you here with us today. And as Kelsey mentioned, my name is Terri Swanson, and I'm a human resource consultant. I serve businesses, small, medium size businesses, and also do a lot of training on supervisory, managerial, communication, team building, and all those types of things for some of the larger businesses as well. So I feel really honored to have the opportunity to serve people in any capacity in the workplace. It's a passion of mine. So I really appreciate having you join us today. And we've done a couple of these webinars. I'm not sure if you ladies have been a part of them, but we started out with recruiting employees, and then we transitioned into onboarding. And today we're going to talk about retention, something that's, well, they're all three extremely important, and they kind of move on down the line together. But one of the, I love to do webinars that are interactive. And so I really just love having great conversations, and I don't have a PowerPoint that I'm going to put in front of you today. We're just going to have a good conversation. And I would really like to encourage you ladies to just, if you have a question about something, that you would just unmute yourself, and it's all good. Just interrupt and be like, hey, Terri, I got a question, regarding conversations. I always like it when it's more interactive and not just me talking. So, and plus I believe that we all learn from your experiences and the things that you might be celebrating in your workplace, or the things that might be posing challenges to you in your workplace. So let's really make this hour interactive, conversational, and just learn from each other. I think I would, I love to begin with, I'm a Stephen Covey fan, and I love his book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And his second habit is begin with the end in mind. And so it's really important to me that I serve you and bring whatever, maybe some answers to questions that you might have come today to this webinar with around employees. And so I'd like to just ask, quickly, did any one of you happen to come with some sort of question that you hope to be answered? Because I would hate to get to the end of the webinar and have you not have an answer to whatever question you might have. So I just posed that to you. Okay, well, it's all good. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Terri. Sorry. I'm actually a business advisor with the SBDC, and I work with a lot of small businesses. I'm sure that Krista and Lisa probably represent a small business, but really, the difficulty right now is retaining employees. Obviously, that's why you're doing this webinar. So I was interested, in what a 5-person or less small business could do to retain those employees, because they can't compete with benefits, and sometimes they can't compete with bonuses and things like that. But, so I didn't know if you had something along the lines of, creating a inviting work environment or things like that, other than financial, which is really difficult for those struggling small businesses. Christine,
love your question. And yes, and yes. So I do have some thoughts and ideas and suggestions on businesses. It's interesting because I was just having conversation with Kelsey before we went live, and I was saying to Kelsey, 2 or 3 of these areas that I just feel are really, really essential to any business. They work for a business of 3 people, a business of 50 people, and a business of 500 people. And so I just and they cost no money. So I really appreciate you asking that question, Christine, because to me, when focusing and working with a lot of small businesses, and I serve, I would say half of my clientele are small businesses, 7 employees, 10 employees, 15. And what have you. And so we're always trying to be creative and thinking out of the box in the way of being able to keep them staffed and help them to retain employees as well. And so great question. I hope to give you some nuggets to take away from today's session on that. So I would start by saying that, it all begins naturally with recruiting. Making sure that when we're doing our recruitment, that we are taking the time to really find the right fits for the positions that we have available. And I just use the example of a convenience store, a small mom and pop convenience store in the area I live in Trenton. Well, they're all over the state of Maine, but there's a particular one in the area I live in, and there's about 7 people there. And we've talked about this many times in the recruiting aspect, and that is that if you are putting a person behind a counter that doesn't like working with people, it's probably not going to be a very good fit, because pretty much that's what they're going to be doing, is they're going to be cashing out people day in and day out, day in and day out. And people go back to the same convenience store time after time after time because they build this thing called a relationship, and they have a good experience when they go into this convenience store. And many of us drive by 4 convenience stores just to go to the one that we really like, that the people are really engaging, or the people are friendly, or we've made some sort of connection with that cashier. That's really important. So, we certainly would not want to put a person behind the cashier that's just a body standing there. because that's really not going to serve us well. And I say that in the retail industry to begin with. Retail is an experience that the customer has. And if they have a good experience, then they're going to continue to come back and back and back, whether it's, you know, the Apple store or it's the convenience store. So we just need to remember in hiring people, recruiting the right people for the right position is really important. And, you know, not settling for just a body, which I recognize at times we have to do that. And that's, you know, it's real. But if you do happen to have that happen, then really try to find the strengths to this particular person and steer them more towards those areas of strength. It may be that they're going to be good stocking the shelves and keeping the coolers filled, because that's a little less interaction with with customers. So just recognize that it is important to really iron out the strengths and weaknesses. And again, we all have them, including Terri Swanson. Then the onboarding experience. That is a really huge piece of the puzzle as well in terms of making this a good fit. It's part of the retention strategy is to make sure that when people are being onboarded into our workplaces, that we're, you know, just taking the time to make sure that whatever the process is, it can be a very simple 1, 2, 3, 4 step process, but just make sure that the process has got some experience, emotional connection in it for the person coming into your workplace. And then, you know, that because you want to connect that emotional, like, oh my gosh, example being my daughter's waitressing at a restaurant in Bar Harbor this summer, and she's a very introverted person, but she works hard to practice her extrovert skills. And so she tends to get a little, you know, anxious when it gets, you know, her section gets filled. But she says, Mom, I love the culture. She's like, Mom, everyone is so nice. She's like, our manager, you know, she checks in on me, you know, Rochelle, do you need anything? She's like, Mom, she even will say to us, you know, I'll hear her say like, Trevor, you are rocking it tonight. Good job. Those little things are enticing, and it makes the environment so much healthier, and it makes it more that emotional connection for the employee is much stronger when the culture that we have is that of a good one. And it needs to be good out of the gate, which again goes back to the onboarding. To me, onboarding is a 30, 60, 90 day experience for the employee. And so if we, you know, recognize early on by just simply doing check-ins with our new hires, it transitions the new hire into an experience that they really truly like. It feels good. You know, when we go to work in places where we feel like the culture might be a little, you know, tense. It might be where, you know, it's awkward because, you know, one person is 23 years old and the other person is, you know, 58. And so the commonalities, they might think there's not a lot to talk about. And it might be that the older person, you know, 58-year-old has worked for this business for 4, 5, 6 years. So they're very comfortable in what they're doing. So the awkwardness would be for that 23-year-old coming in to work for you, where it's up to us, the business owners, to really, really focus on making a connection between our people so that people do feel connected. And, you know, it might be that you come up with a few of your own questions that help people to get to know each other a little bit better, because we're really a lot more similar than we are different. It's just we can see the differences. And so anytime new employees feel awkward because they don't feel a connection with the other people that they're coming in to work with, that minimizes the experience and potentially challenge is the retention piece of it. And you know, getting our people through those 30, 60, 90 days of new hires is really important. And so make sure when you think about, you know, you've recruited someone, now you're onboarding, how can I make this experience for this person coming into my business as good as possible? And when we think of experience, think of the emotional connection. Because if a person comes in feeling good and they leave feeling good, then we're doing the right things. But if somebody comes in and they feel lost, they feel disconnected, they don't feel part of the team, you know, we're so busy that we might not even recognize or realize that. So just be mindful of that. I would say to any company or business, more so, you know, small businesses, I believe this to the core, and I've learned it and experienced it in all the positions I've ever had, and that is care first and then lead. We have to care about the people that we're hiring. We genuinely have to show them and make them feel like we care about them, they're valued, we appreciate them. And it really needs to be very, very genuine. Caring about a person doesn't cost any money at all. Being appreciative to a person, you know, for them selecting your place of business, when we all know today, people can, I mean, jobs are everywhere. The range of price, I mean, the hourly wages is just a ginormous range, and bonuses and all of those types of things. They're real, but the Gallup Institute did a study. They do a study on why people stay where they are for periods of time, and it was very interesting. About 5 years ago, the results from about 5 years ago was pay was number 3. It was number 3 on the list. Why people stay where they stay. The first place, the first thing was because they feel cared about. Workplace culture, you know, the environment to what they're working in. The second most important thing to people was professional development, or any sort of development. People want to learn, people want to grow, people want to develop. And then, oh, by the way, we want to get paid. So, interestingly enough, the study came out in 2020, early in 2021, and pay moved up to number 2, not surprisingly at all, because of where our country, I mean, where our world has been, you know, these past few years. And, you know, there's, you know, inflation and the cost of rent and just everything is just increasing and increasing. So not surprised that pay went to the number 2, but still number 1 was workplace culture. And, you know, where I love where I work. And so that's proof. There were thousands of people that this study was conducted. And so that's really legitimate proof across the country that people still do care about the workplace culture. I certainly know it's very important to me. I would rather take less money an hour and go to work each day, whether it's in retail, whether it's in sales, no matter what it is. I want to feel good during the day when I'm at work. And, you know, I'm not saying, you know, people have to, you know, make me happy, because it's not our jobs to make people happy, but it's certainly, as business owners, needs to be a priority that our workplace culture is not one that's infested with drama and gossip, and nobody talks to anybody, and everybody's just there for the pay. And usually those places are because the owners oftentimes maximize profit over people. And please don't hear me say that we don't need profit, because we certainly do. But there's a formula that I was taught early on, and I've lived by this, and I've witnessed this formula take on just amazing things, and businesses and companies that follow it do very well, even in hard times. And that's people, product, profit. Put your people first. You put your people first, they will put your product first, and ultimately you will not want for profit. When people don't feel like you care about them or that their business they're working for doesn't care about them, I can almost assure you they don't care about your product. Whether it's a service or, you know, a gadget or a coffee or what have you, this is just a, you know, transaction taking place between me getting a paycheck and me giving these customers whatever they want. So we need to really remember our people are our most, when they say people are your biggest asset, it really is the truth. And you can make them feel that they're your greatest asset in many ways. And so, again, workplace culture, I cannot emphasize that enough. And so as we move into, you know, let's say that we already have employees that have been with us for quite some time, and we are concerned about, you know, people, you know, hauling them away from us or enticing them away from us because, you know, they pay better and benefits are better and those types of things. Some of the things that are important is we forget how intelligent, smart, and knowledgeable our employees are. We forget, and it doesn't make us, you know, doesn't make us bad because we forget. It's just we owners have so many other things going on that sometimes the smaller, lower hanging fruit that's right around us, we don't pick because we're busy trying to get the fruit way up at the top of the tree. And so, as an analogy, and so, you know, some of that low hanging fruit that we can pick that will reap us much more fruit is employee engagement. Employees want to be engaged in the businesses and in the places of work. We don't think to stop and ask. You know, let's just say that we did a roundtable discussion, and let's say we have 15 employees, and we decide that we really want to hear from our employees. We want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we can't fix what we don't know. And what we don't know is how they are truly feeling or what they really know. And so I just have always found it to be extremely beneficial. And we've benefited in the businesses that I've served in the past by recognizing the importance of sitting down with a few of our people. And we take them from all areas of the company. We don't just take, you know, our managers and sit down at a table. We involve our frontline employees. We involve, you know, our maintenance people, you know, those positions that might not get recognized or might not get asked for input very often. And we sit down at a table and just really have a heart-to-heart conversation, you know, as the business owner. And it might sound something like this, you know, good morning, and thank you all so much for being here with me today. First of all, I just want you to know that you're all super important to me. Every one of you here at this table, I couldn't do my, you know, business without you, or my business wouldn't be successful without you. And because I recognize that, my need for you all is very great. And I know that, you know, you're out there on the front line, you're out there working in the business, you're out there doing the sales and those types of things. And so I just really feel it would be great to sit down and have a conversation and maybe ask a couple of questions that you can all, you know, contribute to. One question might be, what are we doing well? Because I have to tell you, we spend a lot of time focusing on the challenges and the troubles, but we really truly don't sit down with our people and just ask, what are we doing well? And then just let them say whatever. We're still open. You know, we got great donuts. We got a good team. You know, everybody gets along well. Our grounds look really nice. And then as they're saying all of this, capture it on a notepad. And then flip the question around once you, you know, just deplete that question. And when I say ring that question right out, ring it out. Like, don't leave any water in the sponge at all. And you yourself come up with a few things that you know we're doing well. So that we can, again, you know, praise the good things that we're doing. Flipping that question for our employees would be, what could we be doing better? And I like the statement, what could we be doing better? Instead of, you know, we can all be doing something better. I mean, I could, you know, keep my lawn up better. I could keep my car cleaned out better. It doesn't sound like, you know, we're focusing on the things we're not doing well. It's just, what could we be doing better? And it's from that, what could we be doing better, that we business owners really, truly get some amazing responses, especially when we can set the stage at this table for trust, because it's very important. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Ken Blanchard, best statement. I love that. We got to be very open to the feedback that our people are giving us, because we're genuinely asking for it. So if someone says we could care about our people more, or we could be paying better wages, don't get defensive. Don't allow that to happen. You say thank you. You know, you just say thank you for that information, and you absorb it all in, and then, you know, you really listen to what people are saying in the way of giving you good feedback. Maybe they say that our product, you know, is really, we could be better. You know, we could offer a better quality product than what we're offering. Or, you know, the list just goes on and on. But there are two questions that I can assure you, I have seen some of the greatest things happen from these two questions. And then think about how your people are feeling. That the owner is asking them their opinion. The owner's asking them to become engaged in their business. And now it gets even better after this type of a session, when we grab again a couple pieces of low-hanging fruit and they see that we took their ideas and did something with it. It means a lot to employees. It really does. Now what you basically have done as a business owner in the way of retention is you've now gotten something from your employees that they, it's a contribution. It's employee engagement, and that you listened to it and that you did something about it is really, truly beneficial. It's what makes good cultures become great cultures, when we engage our employees in that. You know, I think about when I was a human resource director at a large hotel company here in Maine. And we learned the value of roundtable discussion. And I can again assure you that at that roundtable, we strategically placed people from all over different positions in our company, because their voices, all voices matter, and everyone matters. And so we really wanted to make sure that our people all felt nobody was above. We say not above you, not beneath you, but with you. Because we're all with each other. And when anybody feels like you're above them, I mean, I know I don't like feeling beneath anyone. And when they make me feel that way, I don't like it. And so we strive to make sure that we take this and we bring it to here. Nobody's any better, anybody else. Nobody's any smarter than anybody else. We would just make sure we had the right people at the table, so that all voices were heard. But one of the great, we got a roundtable discussion together around benefits. because, we were blessed to be able to offer good benefits. But we felt that we were really heavy in the way of paid benefits. What we were seeking is what could we be doing that are non-paid benefits that our people would really like, because that we were just always thinking we needed to be adding more paid benefits, but after a while it gets to be too much. So we decided to focus on the non-paid benefits, and we wanted to know from them, what are some of the things that would make you feel good and make you feel valued, or things that would add value to the workplace. And so out of that came a benevolence fund. And it's to this very day still I haven't been there for 4 years, but it's still very much alive. And the benevolence fund was, we gave all employees, when we onboarded them, the opportunity to participate in our employee contribution benevolence fund. It was 100% employee driven. So not $1 into this benevolence fund came from the company. We didn't need it. We had enough people, but it might be that your company, if it's small, your business is small or what have you, maybe you might allocate a certain $500 to start the benevolence fund out. And then employees can contribute, ours could contribute $1 to $5 a week. And it was just automatically deducted out of their payroll. And then we used the benevolence fund for hardships for our employees. If an employee, we had many employees who utilized it, but we had an employee who came down with cancer, and she had to travel for 3 weeks, and it was about a 45-minute to an hour travel to get radiation every day. And we gave her $300 in gas cards from the benevolence fund. Now, keep in mind, every employee in that company contributed to that $300. That matters. That is very meaningful. We had a committee, we had a small committee that was put together, and again, very well selected. And so every week we were having replenished money into the benevolence fund. And, there would be lots of times where, there would be more going in than coming out, because we didn't have anyone requesting anything from the benevolence fund. Now, we did put together a whole process on, how to apply and what warranted a hardship. We had one guy who needed 2 new tires on his car. And unfortunately, the benevolence fund did not find that to be a hardship, because everybody needs tires on their car. And so something that we would need to, work toward. But I just share the benevolence fund idea with you, because that literally came from one of our housekeepers. And, it just became one of the greatest ideas for our company. And then we ended up having outside organizations donate money to our benevolence fund because they heard about it. So I'm just saying, a lot of great things can come from that. The other thing that we did was paid birthday. We decided that, it had come up several times, wouldn't it be great if we could have our birthday off? And we were like, wow, yes, that does, cost money, but whether you were here or not here, we would have to, we'd be paying you or what have you. And so that became a really cool thing. Another benefit that was awesome that we did, and that this one has actually grown a lot as well, is we gave each of our employees 5 hours a year to volunteer in the community. So we paid them for 5 hours of community service. And we just were really proud of that. And we didn't choose their volunteer. We had moms that would volunteer with Girl Scouts, and, just dads were volunteering on Little League baseball, and what have you. And so we honored that because we felt it was extremely important. And again, that came from our employees. And so I just cannot emphasize enough about, you know, the ideas and thoughts that can come from, you know, getting together with our people and engaging in them. Any comments or questions so far? Awesome. Oh, Lisa?
So Terri,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I think Lisa unmuted and I don't want to keep taking the
Sure.
spotlight. Go ahead, Lisa.
No, that's okay. I just want to say, Con, I love your idea of bringing them in and asking them what do they see or what could we improve from the employee. I just love that idea. The one thing is how do you handle the response back if it's something that one, you know, has been asked before, or it's something that you cannot, it's something that you just can't move past, that you can't fix it, or for whatever reason.
Yeah. And Lisa, what a great question. And can I just tell you, my friend, everyone faces exactly what you've just asked. And so I appreciate you asking that, because it is a challenge. But okay, my belief, and it's never ill-served me, is that we only ever tell the truth. Not that you would ever tell it any other way. If something, and allow me to tell you, we got a lot of things, okay? Ours wanted daycare. People were very challenged with daycare. Well, can I just tell you, we're in the hotel industry. The ability to erect a daycare and then the thick book that comes with all the rules, regulations governing and on and on and on for daycare was beyond. It would be like trying to build a sphere of some sort. And so when we would say, we hear this challenge. We know what you're sharing with us is a challenge. And I'm going to be just very honest with you. I don't know that we can solve this challenge. I honestly, truly don't know. And it means a lot to me, to us. And we feel your pain because we got kids too. And so, you know, just validate whatever it is, because if it keeps coming to the table, then it's important to them. It's important. And so validate what they're saying. We never want to hide behind the tree, because the tree gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and really everybody can see us. We're not hiding anything. They're not, you know, none of us are stupid. We know what's going on. Example being, I know a small company I work with, their people are very, well, they're very upset that the owner continues to go out and buy all these toys, and they see him because he brings them to work, but yet they're still being paid $13.50 an hour, while everybody else is paying $18 an hour. And they all know this business is booming. Okay, so there's an example of somebody not putting people first. Go buy your toys, go do whatever you want, but don't bring them in and drip them in front of your employees who are struggling, because you're not going to retain anybody. And then he's challenged with, why can't I keep anyone? Well, it's not easy as a consultant to tell him why, but you know, sometimes you have to, you know, speak truth to power. And he's really wonderful. He's doing so much better. But we have to be very cognizant and just cautious about what our people are telling us. I always say, you know, there are times when I grow my elephant ear, because my ear is really hearing what you're saying. And when our people are telling us what's wrong and what's, you know, they're giving us feedback, we really got to listen. It doesn't mean that it's going to be in your ability to deliver, but let's just be really honest and truthful with them why we can't deliver that. You know, because once again, care first and then lead. You know, if I say, Lisa, thank you so much, you know, for bringing this, you know, situation or challenge to me. I know we need a new break room. I know we do. And I feel terrible that you all have to be crammed in that little closet every day for lunch and there's no windows. I know that. What do you think? Like, what could be some solutions? Financially, I just cannot have a hole cut in that wall, or, I just, from a financial standpoint, the business just is not where it can sustain whatever the cost of, doing whatever it is you need. And what have you. And let's say that it's medical insurance. That's something that's very real. It's hard to compete with a business that offers medical benefits and you don't. Very hard. But you know what I would do? I don't have any employees yet. I will someday, but I don't yet. But what I will do is I'll be resourceful. So I will go out there and I'll check out I'll befriend a couple of people who provide independent insurance or the marketplace. I'll have some resources to offer my people so that at least I'm bringing something to the table, even if I can't afford to offer the medical benefits. Does that make sense?
It does, perfect. And I love I'm going to use it as a quote, care first, then lead. I love that.
Oh, you got to care. And let me just say, it's so important. Kelsey's going to share just really quickly too, but I've been blessed to be on, I call them platforms, but this is my 4th platform as an HR consultant. I've had 3 long-standing jobs before this. And I can tell you this, I stayed with the first one for 10 years, stayed with the second one for 10 years, and stayed with the third one for 8 years. And let me tell you, all 3, the commonality in all 3 of them are because the people showed me they cared about me. Awesome. And to this very day, I am such a promoter of these 3 businesses or organizations. I love them. I'm proud of them. I send people their way just because I love the businesses and places, but it's because they showed me that they cared for me. So I didn't leave because I wasn't cared for. Kelsey, you had one as well. The camp.
Yeah, so I actually came to Maine to work at a summer camp when I was 18 years old. And that onboarding process, I then went through another 5 times over the course of the next decade. And I've never experienced an onboarding program so strong. It is run by an alumni from the camp also, who her job is to go around and do team building onboarding programs. So if you can ever hire someone for that, that's always an option. But the joke that my husband and I make is that we used to pick up every single piece of trash that we saw while walking around camp because we cared so deeply. And then we worked at a school where we stepped over a poster that was on the ground for several weeks. And it really came down to feeling so cared for that I wanted to care for the camp. And part of their hiring strategy was we have to keep these children alive all summer. And the best way to do that is to keep the counselors happy and healthy, and they can provide a healthy, happy environment for the children. In this presentation, I realized I had a memory of we were getting paid 43 cents an hour. We did the math. Camp counselors are on 24/7. And so we were not being paid very well. The benefits ended up being the core group of friends that I have in Maine 15 years later. We're all on that staff. So I'm committed to going to the retirement party for that director next month. And like I said, 3,000 people were invited to that. For catering purposes, they're hoping not everyone who had a positive impact shows up. But, it's just wild looking back on good leaders in my life and good employers. And I felt so cared for in that environment that I will do anything for Alan to this day. And so it's really nice to see the way that Terri is listing all those things that he did. It's exceptional, actually.
Well, and I love that, Kelsey. And it doesn't cost any money to care first. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't cost any money. I have a small business owner. Owns a jewelry store. And you should see, she just surprises her staff, her small staff, with muffins, that she makes herself. And she'll just, or in the winter, she puts on a big crock pot of soup, and then she brings it in the next day and shares it with everyone, and just genuinely shows, such small things to where she cares for her people. I did a facilitated roundtable discussion with she and 7 of her staff members. Do you know that every single person within the first 3 comments indicated to me they are working there because this woman cares for them? And I loved it. And oh, by the way, we have jewelry, and oh, by the way, she does pay us, and so I just witnessed it happening, in terms of, just making sure that we're that we're taking care of our people. Now, I have to tell you this, there are a lot of opportunities to grow and develop your people that don't cost any money. We think we need to do everything. Yesterday, I was with a business owner and he said, Terri, I really need to get job descriptions. I need job descriptions so bad. I don't have time to do them. I'm like so busy and whatever. And I said, well, so slow down. First of all, my first question to you is, why do you have to do them? And he's like, well, I mean, who else is going to do them? And I said, oh my God, could you imagine that you have people smart enough on your team? And I was teasing him. Do you imagine that you have people that are intelligent and smart enough that if you gave them a template, and I've already given you the template, and you just ask them, each person to bullet point what they're doing in their jobs, do you think they could actually manage that project on their own? And he starts laughing and he's like, do you mean I can do that? But you know what? That's such an innocent. I was smiling at him. He's a fairly new business owner. You don't know what you don't know. And I said, Adam, my friend, when you delegate a project to another employee, you are growing and developing that employee. Why do you think you need to do everything yourself? And he's like, all good reasons. I feel like they have so much work, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Has anybody told you? No, I cannot do my job description because I'm way too busy. Let them tell you that. And then get your big elephant ear, because if they're telling you they're too busy and you're seeing them standing around, then maybe you need to, they're disengaged. So we don't have to do everything on our own. Let's embrace our people and let's not be scared to let them, see a little behind the scenes work, because really what you're doing is we're growing and developing our people. I said, Adam, if you have a waitress, or a hostess who's never even done a job description before, guess what you just gave her the ability and the opportunity to do? To say that I know how to write a job description. So, engage and embrace your people. They're amazing. It's what we want. We don't want to be robots. We don't want to just go in and do the same boring stuff every day. We want to challenge, and then, but as owners and leaders, the best way that we can feel that care, when people are giving us feedback, it's usually because they care. Even if it's feedback that you don't want to hear. Because if they didn't care, they wouldn't tell you. Do you have any idea how many customers we lose every morning because we only have one person out here? Okay, well, I care enough to tell you this. So why wouldn't you say, Kelsey, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I hear you, and please know that I'm working on it. I need your help also. Can you help me recruit some people? Who do you know? I'll pay you $50 for every person you bring in the door. Let's be, open-minded and suggestive as well. Our people are great.
I was going to say, and Terri did a wonderful presentation earlier this month. Yeah. I don't know what time is. all about that. So we can make sure that we're linking to all of Terri's sessions in the follow-up email, because she did a pretty good breakdown of how you can get your employees to recruit new employees.
Oh, yes. And that's, again, we don't have to do this all on our own. Remember the gentleman, he's got like the bed and breakfast or the resort kind of thing. And he was just like, I guess I just feel obligated as the owner to recruit the people. And we were teasing him. We were like, so not necessary. Like, I mean, remove the word obligated, because you're not obligated. Yes, you are the owner. But your people will step up to the plate. We forget to ask for help, and I'm just as guilty. What's the worst? I mean, we get afraid of the word no. My mentor has taught me something that I love. The word no means next opportunity. So when someone tells you no, you just go on to the next opportunity. And the next opportunity might be restructuring what you just went and asked for and coming back and asking a second time. That can be a next opportunity. And so never be afraid of no. Something else. Christine, can I go back to you? Because you had unmuted.
Sure. So my question is probably a little bit off track, but I'm working with a client who, and maybe you can direct me to a resource. They don't know how to really write down their core values to make themselves attractive and be able to retain. I mean, they're engineers. It's a very specialized thing that they do. So they're just, they're really, really smart guys, but this part of it is not in their wheelhouse. And so I didn't know if there was a resource or something that you could point me to that I could help them with.
So Christine and I can. So I'm working with a client right now on vision statement, mission, and values. And values are so unbelievably important. I have to tell you, I'm not interested in working for, I work for myself and I have my own values, and I can tell you they're very important to me. And I said no thank you to clients because we're not a good match. My values and your lack of values, we don't have them. And so for those reasons, we're not a good match. But anyway, so Shannon Byers is my business advisor and has been since I went into business. And I actually got an amazing template from her, Christine. And let me ask her if it's okay for me to share it. And I don't know, I'm sure it would be, but it's a little exercise that you could do with these people that would help them. And it's like, probably, 50 words on a sheet of paper, and you circle the top 10 that mean something to you. And then you got to break it down to, okay, if I told you you could only pick 5 of these, what 5 would you pick? And then you break it down to the 5. And then I say, okay, now you only get 3. And so now you take the 3 that everyone, if there's 8 people, 10 people, 4 people, and you would be shocked at the similarities. I will guarantee you that 2 will filter right to the top that all have the same value. And boom, there's what you got, because this is what these all mean. We all pick, like family, for instance. Family filters to the top often. And so we say our company values family. And how are we going to portray that? And how are we going to convey that? Not portray, but how are we going to convey that in the work we do and the work we take and our employees? And that's huge.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. I was going to say, actually, I'll email Shannon directly. And
you can just say, Terri mentioned an exercise that you had shared with her on vision, mission, and values. And because we was already invented. So.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. I actually, they're co-owners, and they're both working right now on their vision statements that I said, you each do one, and then they came together, and they're about 90%, because they kind of were comparing notes, which is great.
Nice.
Having owned a business with a partner, I would say in second or third year in, we were lucky if we were 10% on the same page. So I was like, that's great. But I will ask her for that. Thank you very much.
Please do. Please
Yeah.
do. And that's a good one too. And I actually had that written down here as well, is workplace culture. A healthy workplace culture has values. Even if you don't have a vision, you got values. And those values really are important. People are really connected to those types of things. So I would highly, suggest and recommend, my personal values are my faith, my family, respect, integrity, joy, success. And I added a seventh one when COVID hit, and it's called courage. And I love that one. So that's my latest was courage. And I really love, my values mean a lot to me. Well, just wrapping up because it's getting to be just before 10 o'clock. But the one last thing I wanted to share with you all is I do a questionnaire. We hire people all the time and we do interviews. And then when people leave our businesses, some businesses and companies do exit interviews. But the one thing that I discovered that we lack is this thing called stay questionnaire. Or, why do people stay working for us? And so if you have people working for you now that have been working for you for a while, why do they stay working for you? And that's really valuable, useful information to have, and periodically, and it can change. So I would suggest that you think about this questionnaire that I'm going to share with all of you. So I'm going to send it to Kelsey, and then Kelsey will send it to you in the follow-up. But I think there's maybe 13 questions on this questionnaire, and every one of the questions are awesome. And so if we can just really ask our people to fill out this questionnaire and to be real truthful and just let them know that regardless of what their response is, you genuinely want to hear it. It's meaningful to you, that you care. And so if it's, constructive feedback, we love it, because we can only get better when we listen to what people have to say, whether it's, what we want to hear or what we don't want to hear. Be open-minded to this. Yeah, I hope that this has been useful and beneficial to all of you, and that you're able to just extract a nugget or two or what have you. Lisa, I love that care first and then lead resonates with you, because it will bring you lots of awesome fruit, as you get better at it. And I'm sure you already are a very caring person. But sometimes we just don't realize how much power there is in, and it really makes for a much better life when we care about people. Yeah, anybody with any last minute thoughts or questions or feedback? Because I love feedback.
Well, I couldn't agree more with all of what you've said. So thank you very much, Terri. And thank you to everyone who joined. I was telling her earlier, the camp that I worked at also did an exit interview at the end of each summer, but part of it was the conversation of, are you coming back next year and why or why not? And so it was considered an exit interview, but it was also when you told him that you were returning the following summer. So it gave you a lot of opportunity to share whatever it was you wanted to at that point. So I can still remember sitting in that interview and saying, like, I have a family reunion next summer in the middle of session 3, but like, I'd love to come back if I can leave. And him being like, great, we'll talk in February. So it doesn't hurt to give everyone a platform, and then
Absolutely
do your best with it.
Yeah. Lisa, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all great. I'm looking forward to having the recording to re-go through it again. I mean, I think, yeah, it's a different environment, I feel like. And I think COVID has done a lot of change to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And some of it, I think they've just put so much, there's a lot of stress on everybody. Even though we're all doing the same stuff, I feel like there's still stresses that have been added due to the COVID. So I love this whole thing of just the caring and asking for their opinions. I really like that piece. And And I loved your explanation of, if you can't, just try to, the truth is the most important.
Lisa, you are who you are, and you have the abilities that you have. And, you can't, you're not a magician. You can't just make things, happen or what have you. But I think when we don't respond or we don't validate what our people are saying, then they feel like you don't care. I'm not going to say anything because she doesn't even care. I've already tried to tell. So see what, and you and I feel the same way. It's like, would you just listen to what I'm trying to tell you? I'm not even asking you to do it. I'm just trying to get you to say, you know what? I love that idea. And that's a great one. And maybe 3 years from now, we can do it, but we'll keep that right on our radar. Yeah. Great. Awesome. Well, I appreciate all of you. And I know it's interesting, Lisa, this is, I think, the first webinar. I actually have not used the word COVID, which I think is just interesting. And so at the end, when you said that, because it is reality, and all the more reason why today Care First is going to propel you ahead of those that can pay another $1 more an hour than you can. Because as much as inflation is affecting all of us, the lack of care is affecting us more.
Yep, absolutely.
So I want to be in an environment where somebody cares. I'll work an extra 4 hours if I have to. And this being, in an environment that's toxic, or in an environment that's not serving my mental and, emotional world, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I think I shared it across the SBDC's social media pages a few weeks ago, but I saw an article that was calling the Great Resignation the Great Aspiration. Ooh. And this idea that people are seeking environments that they want to be in rather than they are fleeing toxic environments. And so if you're creating an aspirational environment, you may have less resignations from that environment additionally, which leads to retention, which I thought was a really good way to frame that. So if I can find the link, I'll include that in my follow-up email as well.
Oh, and please do, because I'd love to see that as well. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you. It's just been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. And I genuinely just wish you the best. And if I can be a resource, or if I can help you in any way, Kelsey will share my information because I do care about you very much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was going to say all of the same things. So keep an eye out for my follow-up email later this afternoon, and we'll get all of those resources to you. And hopefully we'll see you at the next team building HR session by Terri, which will be in June.
Yeah, it's in June, towards the end of June. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and happy Memorial Day weekend.
There we go. Thanks, everyone.